So as you can see, the E30 is up and running, and I haven't made a video in so long, and I really do apologize. There's just been so many things going on behind the scenes with this car, stressing me out, but I'm so happy it's at basically 100% now. All it needs is a tune. In the beginning, as we put the whole car together, it started overheating. Then out of nowhere, the actual resistor behind this temp gauge broke, so it wasn't showing me any numbers. So then I had to add this gauge in. I added all these gauges in. This is boost, oil pressure, and air to fuel ratio. I'll shortly pop the hood and show you guys exactly how I got those to run from the engine bay inside the cabin. Basically, we figured out the overheating issue on these cars. What most people really do when they go turbo is, especially a top mount turbo, is add an electric fan, and that's just something I really didn't want to do. I wanted to keep it, you know, as OEM looking as possible and just leave the things that worked, just let them work the way they should. But the top mount turbo does definitely add a bunch of heat in the engine bay. It just, the clutch fan was not enough to keep up with this new setup. So what I ended up doing is buying a 16-inch Spall fan, electric, wired it up to this switch right here, and it doesn't look the prettiest right now, but as you flip this over, electric fan kicks on, and honestly this car does not even reach the middle mark with this electric fan. So it doesn't get fully up to temperature, which is good. It always runs just a little bit colder. Right now what I want to do is take you guys for a quick spin in it. I haven't really pushed the limits of this car yet. I couldn't get the wastegate to work properly. Now I finally did. I added a vibrant manual boost controller and got the wastegate to finally open up with that. So there's just so many things. I was trying to just get this car perfect so I could finally make a nice video on it. Basically, the tile wastegate that is on this car right now has 4 air ports for it, and obviously you only need 1 for it to work. So I definitely hooked one up, but I was not informed that you actually have to block off the other 3 air ports wastegate to actually open up. So all I did was hook up 1 port like a dumbass, and the wastegate was not opening, and this shit was literally hitting 20 to 30 pounds of boost on me, and it was really scary. So thankfully I got the wastegate to finally open properly. It is under a 14-pound spring. The manual boost controller though twisted it up about 12 notches. I'm not too sure. I still have to get familiar with the manual boost controller because I'm not sure what each notch allows, how much boost it allows. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm gonna take you guys on a little drive, pull over, pop the hood, and actually show you guys how everything is ran. And hopefully you guys enjoy this video as much as I do. The car is just about warm enough to get it to start moving. I haven't used this GoPro mount in such a long time. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the build, and it's probably your first time tuning in, this is a M50 B25. It was pulled out of an E34 525. Got this car with this swap in it already, and was driving it around NA for quite a while. I'd say about 2 years I was driving this car NA, and by sometime around last year I decided to actually go on with the turbo build and make it into what it is today. So what I did was throw a 6266 ball bearing turbo on it, Rapid Spool Industries turbo manifold, custom exhaust all the way back. All the exhaust really has the vibrant ultra quiet resonator, and that is all you hear. Currently running a Link standalone ECU, which is on a base map for this car for the turbo application. Haven't really got a chance to rip it yet. Literally just finished up the build. By finishing up, I mean hooking up a wastegate that will actually open under boost, so I don't have to drive this thing around like a retard. Today we're just gonna take it around for a few rips, enjoy it a little bit, because it has been a while since I've actually got to drive this thing. I'm gonna hit this open road here in Mexico and do a couple rips. That also has a turbo E30, and he basically was able to share his file because we're running the same ECU, so he was able to share his file with me. And I honestly, all I wanted to do was get the car moving. Obviously couldn't move it around on a stock file like this, so got a stock file from him. Not really a stock file, but his tuner tuned his car, of course, and he sent me his map, and it's working really well. We have different size turbos, different size injectors, so the car is running a little richer than it's supposed to, but surprisingly, this thing feels nuts. This thing feels insane. It's literally my first time actually pushing the car like this because I wasn't able to do it with a wastegate that wouldn't open. So once I would see this gauge hit about 12 psi, I would let off throttle because I'm not staying on the gas until this shit hits 30 psi in my motorboat. So this is crazy though. This feels really good. The manual boost controller is actually making the wastegate open up at 12 pounds. When I hear the wastegate open up, I'm looking at the gauge and it's at 12. So I guess the amount of clicks is per 1 pound of pressure. I literally just guessed that. Didn't know, there was nothing in the instructions manual to tell me that. But I guess every click on the manual boost controller is equivalent to 1 pound. So click it 12 times and it's making the wastegate open at 12 pounds. Once it hits 4K, boost kicks in and this shit feels like a fucking animal. Finally found a nice spot with some shade that I can hop out and show you guys the entire setup. See, that electric fan is putting in work. Oh wow. Now this shit is hot as hell. Never even fastened this cover. Let me see if I could do this. Damn, this shit is mad hot. I ended up doing spark plugs on this thing, so obviously this beauty cover had to come off. And I guess I never put the bolt back, but this is actually a really nice piece. It's from Vader Solutions if you guys are looking for it. Almost every guy with a turbo E36 or a swapped E30 turbo is running this, because this downpipe actually creates a lot of heat, and as you guys know, the coil packs are right there, so prevents a lot of heat from getting to the coil packs, because this is an aluminum piece, so it's actually really convenient and it looks really good. But anyway, this is the entire setup. It is a Precision 6266, as mentioned before. M50 B25 stock bottom end. Only thing that was done was a cut ring head gasket on this and upgraded the head studs to ARPs. Got the head refinished, and that is about it. As far as the piping goes, it was completely custom, done by Una Fabrication. Here's the manual boost controller. Just recently installed this yesterday. So since is the hot side of the motor, all these lines are stainless steel, even going down to the turbo, because anything rubber would have already burned up. This is literally leaning on the downpipe, so it is really hot right now and it's still holding up. So I had to make sure all these lines are stainless. Intercooler piping is also custom. Comes out from the turbo, goes down here to the intercooler, which is in front of the car. You guys can get a little glimpse of it from right here. How did I get all the gauges to work? So the first gauge, all the way to the right of this little AC port, is the AFR. So the AFR has obviously an O2 sensor on the downpipe, and it goes wires and it goes straight to the gauge. Actually have ran all the gauges through the same spot. This little hole in the firewall is actually for the harness of the engine. So once you open up this cover, which I have to kind of keep open now after all the wires I put through it, here's the wideband for the AFR. It goes straight into the cabin to the gauge and it shows me my AFRs. And for the other two gauges, they're actually on this side. This is the sensor for the boost gauge, and that down there connects to the back of the oil filter housing, is another sensor for the oil pressure gauge. So this came with the gauge and that also came with the gauge, but in order to run that, I bought the oil pressure adapter kit from Seems Legit Garage, and basically has a port, an AN fitting that can go onto the sensor, and in the back of it you can put your stock oil pressure sensor so your oil light doesn't come on in the car. And yeah, that's basically what I'm running for now. This is the complete setup. Has not been on a dyno yet, but we do have a dyno appointment really soon. And yeah, I really can't wait to see what this thing actually makes on a dyno. Has a ZF trans in it from a E36 M3. Has a spec stage 4 6-puck clutch that's holding all the power right now. I was told that these clutches actually do start slipping around 450 500 wheel, so I might have to upgrade to a twin disc in the future, who knows. But honestly, I don't want this car to be pushing insane amount of power. Like I said, the bottom end of this motor is stock, so even having it at 500 is kind of pushing it. Just trying to have fun with it, keep it at a reliable number that I know will start up every day, will make boost and not blow up on me, even though I do have this big ass turbo basically for no reason. But one day when I do decide I want to go a little more aggressive up the boost, I can, and just build the bottom end and go from there. This is the T that actually goes to the Link ECU. As you guys know, the Link standalones come with a vacuum port for the air mass meter. That way the ECU directly reads your airflow, and this is tapped into the fuel pressure regulator line, and I'm still on the stock fuel rail, stock fuel pressure regulator, and only thing that's upgraded is the injectors and fuel pump. The injectors are 60-pound Siemens Decas, and I'm running a Walbro 255 in tank fuel pump in the back. If you guys did not know the wheel specs, these are Apex Arc 8s. They are ET20 all around, 17 by 8.5. So with all that being said, just want to give a big shout out to everybody that watches the videos, that shows love to the channel. Huge shout out to everyone that has been a part of the build as well. Big shout out to Precision Motorworks for letting me use their space to build this car. Una Fabrications did the entire intercooler piping along with the custom exhaust all the way to the back. The OG subscribers and everybody that has been following me from day one knows that this car is the car that started this channel for me, that got the most amount of views on YouTube, was with this car, was point of view driving this car, and a lot of people fell in love with it when they first saw it, so had to keep it around and had to build it. And it just I'm just super happy with it. Any more questions that you guys are not familiar about or have questions about the build, I most likely have already made a video on it, so go check it out. They're definitely on the channel. Putting the tranny in, putting the motor together is all on the channel. Putting the diff in, putting the drive shaft in. So everybody make sure you guys go tune in. And if anybody still has questions about the car after watching all the videos, my Instagram will be right here. Hit me up and I will definitely answer any question you guys have about the build. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I am out. Deuces.